Welcome to the Fast Leader Podcast, where we uncover the leadership life hacks that help you to experience breakout performance faster and rocket to success. And now, here's your host, customer and employee engagement expert, and certified emotional intelligence practitioner, Jim Rimbaugh.
To be customer-centric in your contact center, you need more than feedback. You need performance management and trusted agent scorecards, which is exactly what you get with the award-winning external quality monitoring program from Customer Relationship Metrics. Get over the hump now by going to customersgradethecall.com/fast and getting a $7,500 rapid results package for free. Okay, Fast Leader Legion, today I'm excited to introduce this guest to you today because I met her on a conversation on Facebook from a previous guest that we had on the show, Judith Glazer. Lynn Hawkins grew up on the outskirts of the inner city of Baltimore, Maryland, where she was your typical vibrant little girl until everything shifted in her life. It was the day that her father, a man revered in the circles he traveled, fraternity, church, brotherhoods, with a master's degree in fine arts from Johns Hopkins University, a French and Spanish teacher at one of the most prestigious all-boys high schools in the inner city named City College, a concert violinist, the father of two with another child on the way, dropped dead from a heart attack at the young age of 29. At the time, Lynn was only 7. This caused Lynn to continually feel like everything she loved and worked hard to maintain in her family, her corporate career, and initially in her entrepreneurial journey could be taken away at any moment's notice. One day as an adult, she realized that it didn't have to be that way. And that's when in 2012, as a single parent, mother of 2 amazing kids, grandmother of 2 beautiful grandsons, her youngest child, father of her 2 amazing grandsons, was killed suddenly. Lynn now finds herself in a very vital role of helping to raise her grandsons. Lynn believes that nothing just happens and that everything happens for a reason. Each challenge and every season of Lynn's life experiences have put her on the journey to her true purpose and path. Now she teaches what she's learned, to live the legacy her dad and her only son left to her, a legacy of love. She does that as the CEO of P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship. Today, Lynn enjoys her work, her involvement in the community, and serving while living her legacy. She says, to leave a meaningful legacy, you have to live a legacy. Lynn currently resides in Lilburn, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, near Stone Mountain. Lynn Hawkins, are you ready to help us get over the hump?
I am ready, Jim. Good morning, and thanks for having me on the show. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, and I'm glad to have you. And, I've given our listeners a little bit about you, but can you tell us what your current passion is so that we can get to know you even better?
Well, I am, as you stated in the bio, and by the way, thank you for that. That was so great. I'm living my legacy. I am doing in my business and my life what I would like to leave to my family and the world in what I've learned in my journey about who it is that I am, about what it is that I was born to do while here on this earthly plane. And I'm just excited to be doing that and sharing that and helping, especially women entrepreneurs, to bring themselves into the place of purpose and passion and power in their own lives and in their own businesses, learning how to be the CEO of a, 6, 7, 8-figure business. And that's my personal journey. And that's the journey that I'd love to travel with some other amazing women who are on the path.
As you were talking, Lynn, and thanks for sharing that, I started thinking about something that happened, or a conversation that I had a while back about something that we perceive, but yet in fact is something that eludes us. And that is this thought of control. And when you think about it from a marketing perspective and what people, kind of resonate with, especially when you start talking about in today's world, it's like, I have to take control of my life. I have to take control of my future. I have to take control. And the fact is that the more and more that we, in fact, try to control, the less that we do control. And so when you start talking about, your journey and some of the things that you've had to go through and overcome and the humps you've had to get over, is that, and right where you are now and what it sounds like is that you do have control, but it wasn't from the taking piece. How do you think you really got to the point to where you are today to have that sense of control?
Well, that is such a great question because I believe that it's in the living of life and the things that you learn along the way that help you to find out who you are, to figure out who you are and where you stand. And I know for me, I'll tell you a short story. My career was in commercial real estate. And I remember I loved commercial real estate. I saw it as God gifted me with the vision to see that commercial real estate was really going to be able to provide for me. I was a single parent. Having a job in commercial real estate meant a lucrative income, and multiple six figures over the course of time. And it really did do that which I had envisioned it would. However, it also put me in the space of identifying myself as this corporate person. And I remember the day that I decided I was going to go from the administrative area and managing teams and building high performance dynamic teams and get into more of a sales role. And I remember having done sales for a few months, the sales manager calls me in and we have this conversation. I'm thinking he's going to be telling me all this great stuff that I had been doing. And he says, you know what? You're just not cut out for sales. You're too nice. And I thought, wow, that really, it not only impacted me, it hurt. The impact was hurt. And I thought, gosh, am I doing this wrong? And I felt it was right. I was having success. I was having repeat customers and referrals. I was doing what salespeople wish to do. Yet I thought, okay, let me find a sales training opportunity and learn some of these techniques that he's talking about. Maybe I am missing something. Maybe I could do more by having these additional skills. Well, it was great. I enrolled in the Sandler sales training and learned from the diamond perspective all this great information, a lot of techniques I do, in fact, use in today's work and what I teach my clients and customers now. However, what I realized was that I was different. I was working from the heart, which is not something that typical salespeople, especially, look at me. I'm not your typical sales guy. And what I realized was that there were certain people who resonated with me and how I moved in the world, the energy that I was projecting, and there were some that didn't. I was successful because I was me. And now I had these additional skills. I decided to take that and really parlay that into something that I was able to speak to me, from the heart, and do for those who needed me. In my career, I worked with the business owners who had retail and offices and, were owners of commercial real estate. And I was able to, especially when they started expressing, I can't make my mortgage payment, I was able to help them to look at some things that they might be able to do to shift some things in their own spaces. Most of them guys, but the few that I did run across who were women had a special connection. I had a special connection with them. They had a special connection with me. We were women moving in this space, trying to also, along with deriving income, revenue, make a difference in the world. And so when I was able to step on this path of entrepreneurship and really begin to do my purposed work, I wanted to help women entrepreneurs. Now, there are some men entrepreneurs who are in there who fit perfectly because they are the balanced energy. But I have to tell you that it has been in what I've learned in the journey that brought me to the space of these epiphanies that, not only was I okay, but I was better than okay. Now that I knew this and I knew from whence I was working, from the space in my heart that was opening, because I up until that point, really very left-brained, or considered myself to be very left-brained, very analytical, very linear. And then, I had to kind of relate to the hawk in me. and my dad and the artistic side that was a part of my DNA. And I learned that that is the place where it all merged.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I think there's a couple things that stood out to me, and one of the primary components is that you have a resiliency as well as a thick skin component to you that, has allowed you to persevere and get where you are today. And a lot of those things that, help us come out and reinforce that, we get through, others. And in a show, we focus on quotes. It's huge for us because it does that. It helps us reinforce some of the things we already know. Like, for example, you were talking about, your behaviors and the way that you went about commercial real estate. And then you went through Sandler sales training. As far as what I know about Sandler sales training, it probably reinforced what you already were doing, is that it's about the relationship building piece. It's the rapport building piece. It's the setting an expectation piece and looking for mutual gain. I mean, it's serving others. I mean, that's the Sandler system.
Yes. And that's what I resonated with. And that's the confirmation that I took away with me when I started really focusing on sales and the relationships that I garnered and how I could move into doing more and doing bigger, because I learned a lot through that.
So as far as the quotes go, I know you probably have a ton because you are such an inspirational giver, as well as someone who seeks it. Is there a quote or two you can share with us that kind of gives you that oomph?
Well, Jim, this is a group of leaders, and there are many great teachers out there who are teaching leadership philosophy. Yet I have a mentor who taught me something about leadership that colored it in living color for me. It put it into musical terms that I could see, hear, feel, taste, smell, the whole 9 yards. And I often call myself a maestro, leading an orchestra to create 10x businesses. And here's the thing. My mentor, Rick Justice, author of The Grand Challenge and one of just my greatest teachers and friends, told me and taught me that there are 2 jobs of a leader. I said, only 2? He said, yes, and remember them. He said, the first job of a leader is to be the architect of the future. He said, and the second job of a leader is to be guardian of the mood. Now, Jim, that really struck me. Architect of the future and guardian of the mood as it relates to leaderships. I always thought of a leader, especially being CEO of your business. The CEO's main function, main responsibility is to drive revenue into and through the business. And yet the CEO, if they are not a values-driven, heart-centered person, they're not going to get the whole leadership thing. That's how come you have some CEOs who allow the economy to influence how it is their company is going to manage through certain times. But thinking about architect of the future, it's the leader's responsibility to see the vision, to purposefully move and influence towards that vision through their conversation. That's why conversational IQ is so important to me, because it really is the words that you use and the energy and the inflection and the words that allow you to influence through conversation to enable the dream or the dreams to become reality. And in that guardian of the mood piece, great leaders really have to be individuals of influence in order to create, sustain, and move others toward the vision. Because the mood is the culture, the environment, and the ecosystem that the business is built in and is built to move forward through. You've got team, you've got customers who are impacted by the mood of your organization. And so that was a quote that really just stuck with me. It's something that I teach because I think it's something that people have not really identified in terms of leadership.
Thanks for sharing that. I mean, to me, there's just so much depth and so many different ways that you can look at both of those pieces of that quote. And I know for the conversations that we've had, which has been brief, and I definitely look forward to the future and having an ongoing relationship with you, because you help me see things that I otherwise, don't have in view. So thank you. Now, we've talked about, even in your bio, humps. You talked about the commercial real estate hump and having that leader piece. And, I know that you're probably holding back on a really good story that I please want you to share with us about a hump you had to get over. Can you please tell it to us?
Well, I go back to the real estate story because that scenario has happened to me a few times. And for me, when it comes to what I've learned, the hump that I got over was really in identifying who it is that I am and who it is that I'm choosing to be. I realize I'm a heart-centered person who does life while creating meaningful relationships, who thrives when working with other heart-centered people. And when I stood in that space, and I've stood in the past in the space of questioning that, I've seen myself outside of the flow of abundance and prosperity and profits in my business as well, honestly. It's in that flow of light, of love, of abundance, and everything working successfully that I finally got over the hump. And I saw it in the space of, who do I identify as me? In the corporate environment, I was the corporate senior vice president. I was the person who people came to for answers. I had the answers. If I didn't have the answers, I knew how to research and engage the team to do the research so that we could come to the real answer. And yet, on the outside of that, in my own space as entrepreneur, I saw myself as entrepreneur, but I wasn't taking on the identity of CEO of my business and standing in the strength and power that I had with the knowledge that I had garnered over the time that I was in school and through business. And I started at the bottom in my career, and I actually worked my way to the senior executive level. And I've supported people. I've been the person that others have supported. So I knew I had a good framework. Yet in my entrepreneurial space, I questioned it all. And it wasn't until I really got back to that hump that you're talking about, was the hump of identifying who it is that I was choosing to be, because I knew who I was.
Yeah, there's an opportunity for, I think, everybody to learn when I listen to what you're saying. And this has been a lifelong journey, as well as humps that you've had to get over about this particular issue, is something that comes to mind is the word relatedness. So, when we start thinking about that feeling inside that we can't quite connect with, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why am I in this relationship, at this job, following this? The relatedness is really the piece. And we often lose sight of what our relatedness is. And it talks about congruency in life. Hey, I'm worried about my health, but yet I'm driving through the fast through lane every single morning and getting my, chocolato macchiato thingy. Why you have the disconnect? It's all about the relatedness piece, right? So when you start referring to that relatedness, and you had to find it, but is there a piece of advice that you can give to somebody to help them connect with that relatedness, to or with faster?
Absolutely. And I just want to stay in this space of identity, because you mentioned it, whether it's your job, you're the CEO of your business, you're an entrepreneur, but you don't yet see yourself as the CEO of your business. Business is nothing without the person, right? I ask often, what's your definition of business? Webster's defines it. Wikipedia defines it as a something, right? I contend that business is a someone. Without the person who had the idea to start this company, that whether it's a mega billion-dollar company or a mom and pop shop, a small entrepreneurial venture, it is the someone that is business. It's the someone that has a relationship with another someone, that they're doing joint ventures and strategic alliances and building businesses in ways that would not otherwise happen. I would say to someone, first and foremost, what is your identity? Who are you? And when I realized that in fact was probably the biggest thing holding me back from being my best in my own entrepreneurial venture. I know that, human capital is the only capital that makes the world go round.
It's interesting what you're saying right there, Lynn, and it's a really important point because there's a big movement in corporate America. I mean, it was a society as a whole, really. It was when you start talking about engagement, right? And engagement doesn't come from a thing. It comes from that someone, like you're talking about. It's an entity having an identity and becoming more personal. We talk about, people doing journey mapping, but we want to flip that and go deeper and say, we want to do some empathy mapping in order to make it more human-centric, and centricity. I mean, so what you say resonates in a lot of ways if we just change our mindset from thinking that, this is a thing versus this is a, person.
Exactly.
Even if it's a group of people.
There's one other piece to that I would like to add, and that is it has to be the human capital operating from the heart. And a lot of people don't realize the power of the heart. The heart is the thing that actually is killing more people today than anything. Most people think it's cancer. Well, the heart is the first cell upon conception. It is the first brain. It is the cell that creates the cells that become the brain. It is the heart that it actually emanates the energy of who we are. If we're in a quandary about identifying the who that we are, we're going to be in a quandary as far as our energy out in the world. And in our we've all heard, I'm a human having a spiritual experience, or I'm a spiritual person having a human experience. However it is that you look at it, it comes together in the heart, because it is the heart that decides what humans will do or not do.
I know you have a lot of things going on. You have a lot of, aspirations and hopes and dreams. And, you're also, being somebody who's helping, create some adults that are going to impact the world as well, I'm sure. Is that if you have, like one thing that you have as a goal that really excites you, what is it?
That one thing. You know what, Jim? That's such a great question, because there's so many things I would love to do. However, I know that the human experience is a growth process. And because of that, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're in a job, whether you're just in life, one of the things that I know that assisted me in my journey was learning hypnosis, learning NLP, learning EFT. And I use that in the work that I do. I derive exercises where I incorporate EFT, hypnosis, and NLP into it. And I teach a skill called tapping, but it's a derivative of tapping. And I coined it the one tap solution. It is not one tap, but it is one acupressure point on the body that you tap and go through a series of statements and breathing and just conscious realizations that allow for some growth and opportunity to not only happen within your physical self, but in your energetic self. And if you know about energy, your energy is what actually impacts your circumstances in your outer world. It's the inner work that leads to the best in your outer work. And so with what I do in healing with hypnosis and hypnosis in business, it impacts leadership and influence and love and empowerment and overcoming and success. And I would say that would be my choice. That would be the decision that I make, to use this one-tap solution to make the world a better place.
And the Fast Leader Legion wishes you the very best. Now, before we move on, let's get a quick word from our sponsor. Contributing to the annual $150 billion loss in training and development investments is downright demoralizing. So raise your spirits in training ROI by increasing learning transfer with ResultPal. Get over the hump now by going to resultpal.com/fast and getting a $750 performance package for free. All right, here we go, Fast Leader Legion. It's time for the Hump Day Hoedown. Okay, Lynn, the Hump Day Hoedown is the part of our show where you give us good insights fast. So I'm going to ask you several questions, and your job is to give us robust yet rapid responses that are going to help us move onward and upward faster. Lynn Hawkins, are you ready to hoe down?
I'm ready to hoe down.
All right. So what do you think is holding you back from being an even better leader today?
Quick response. Being able to reach more.
What is the best leadership advice you have ever received?
Be the CEO of your business.
What is one of your secrets that you believe contributes to your success?
Being the CEO of my business and standing in that identity.
What do you feel is one of your best tools that helps you lead in business or life?
The one-tap solution.
What would be one book from any genre that you'd recommend to our listeners?
There's a recent bestseller that's out there in the marketplace by my friend Teresa de Grosbois. It's called Mass Influence, The Habits of the Highly Influential.
Okay, Fast Leader Legion, you can find links to that and other bonus information from today's show by going to fastleader.net/Lynn Hawkins. Okay, Lynn, this is my last Hump Day Hoedown question. Imagine you were given the opportunity to go back to the age of 25. And you have been given the opportunity to take the knowledge and skills that you have now back with you. But you can't take everything. You can only choose one. So what skill or piece of knowledge would you take back with you, and why?
Oh my, that is such a great question. And I go back to something that has been miraculous in my life and the lives of my clients. It would be the one-tap solution.
Lynn Hawkins, it was an honor to spend time with you today. Can you please share with the Fast Leader listeners how they can connect with you?
Beautiful. Yes. And I'm so honored. You can connect with me by going to p3academy.com.
Lynn Hawkins, thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. The Fast Leader Legion honors you and thanks you for helping us get over the hump. Thank you for joining me on the Fast Leader Show today. For recaps, links from every show, special offers, and access to download and subscribe, if you haven't already, head on over to fastleader.net so we can help you move onward and upward faster.